Top 10 RoboCop Villains. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Terry and this is Marvelous Videos. All movie heroes are only as good as the villains they fight. I mean, what would Batman be if Joker wasn't his archenemy? On second thoughts, he'd still be Batman, the world's greatest detective. Anyway, RoboCop's futuristic Detroit is plagued with villains of all kinds. From psychopathic gang leaders like Boddicker and cult leaders like Kane to corporate criminals like Dick Jones and the Old Man, RoboCop City is never in short supply of bad guys. Paul Verhoeven, the master of satire, ensured that his villains represented pure evil and that they came from all social backgrounds. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 villains from the RoboCop movies and shows. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin.
You probably don't think I'm a very nice guy, do you?
Buddy, I think you're slime.
Clarence Boddicker. Clarence's rise as a crime lord in Detroit was essentially the result of corrupt politicians and police personnel who didn't shy away from serving a sadistic cop killer who'd killed at least 32 cops. Boddicker became so confident that he went on a rampage across Detroit, looting the banks and killing anyone who stood against him. But Boddicker was far from a courageous person. Although he was responsible for several heinous crimes that required a certain level of bravery and guts, his savagery often went into hiding when he was about to be taken down or cornered. In such instances, he showed his cowardly side and often did just about anything to save himself, including sacrificing his own colleagues. Interestingly, this strange guy snorted alcohol, which was something of a first in the history of cinema. Paul Verhoeven, the master satirist, will always be remembered for RoboCop and his other films, mostly for the unique characters he created in them. Clarence Boddicker is one of the sickest, most cunning villains in the RoboCop franchise, and also someone directly responsible for the creation of RoboCop. As for his allegiance and motives, he works for Dick Jones, the senior president of the evil megacorporation called Omni Consumer Products. Boddicker, the homicidal gang lord, basically serves as Dick Jones's personal hitman. This nefarious criminal is essentially a sadistic psycho whose list of crimes is longer than several other villains in this video. From grand theft auto and armed robbery to mass murders and outraging a woman's modesty, Boddicker has done just about everything. However, his most crucial act of crime was gunning down Officer Alex Murphy, who would later become RoboCop.
You better take me in.
I will.
Richard Dick Jones. Dick Jones was only the second in command of OCP and served right under the CEO, also called the Old Man. As the senior president of OCP, Dick had the luxury of profiting heavily from any major deal that OCP made. All he had to do was save his spot from his competitors in the firm, like the arrogant yet inventive upstart Bob Morton, whose brainchild was the RoboCop program. Clearly, Dick Jones acted as a textbook example of his nickname, and hired Clarence Boddicker to finish off both Morton and RoboCop. Although Clarence managed to end Morton's life, RoboCop proved more than a match for him. The cyborg learned of Dick's involvement after brutally interrogating Boddicker and went to confront him. However, the evil executive used one of his assault machines, Ed 209, and injured RoboCop, but Dick was foolish enough to confess his crimes. In the end, RoboCop showed damning evidence of Dick's crimes to the Old Man, who fired Dick Jones and had him killed by RoboCop. Dick was as corrupt an executive as any, and was paranoid about losing his position as senior president of the megacorporation. Naturally, he often went to extreme lengths to save his throne, including the murder of his colleagues and servants of the law. Dick maintained an outlook that matched his position and was always well dressed and spoke like a showman, but when it came to revealing his dark side, he didn't shy away. Furthermore, he lacks empathy, even for the people he works with. Not only does he ensure Morton's death, but when Ed 209 kills another innocent executive, Dick writes it off as a mere glitch in the robot's programming. Dick Jones was someone who loved to gloat over the pain he inflicted on those he disliked. All in all, Dick Jones was nothing more than a greedy businessman who would go to extreme lengths for money, reputation, and position. However, all of it ended badly for him because, as we know, he was ultimately shot by RoboCop and fell several stories to his death.
Jesus had days like this. hounded and attacked like a criminal?
Kane. After the deaths of Clarence Boddicker and Dick Jones, a new organization rose from Detroit's underbelly to take over Detroit's crime and criminals. It was called the Nuke Cult and was led by an ex-military man named Kane. However, Kane was eventually court-martialed and sent to prison, where he spent 3 years before managing to escape. He then created an extremely addictive narcotic called Nuke, and that was his ticket to success in the criminal world. RoboCop encounters Kane in a nuke lab, but he manages to escape with his henchwoman named Angie and a young associate called Hob. Later, RoboCop finds Kane once again, but this time Kane proves to be a dangerously unpredictable foe as he manages to disassemble RoboCop. However, the cyborg cop was more than determined to bring Kane down, and the two met again, this time in a game of chicken. Kane was escaping in an armored truck with millions of dollars and huge stocks of Nuke, while RoboCop was on a motorbike. Kane's overconfidence got the better of him, and RoboCop fatally injured Kane. Later, at the hospital, an unethical psychologist named Dr. Juliette Fax visits Kane and euthanizes him. In reality, she was going to use Kane's brain in her project called RoboCop 2, which was a nefarious new version of RoboCop himself. Kane was the textbook example of a cult leader. Not only was he charismatic and well-versed in influencing his followers, he also ensured that all of them used his drug. So basically he was professing and promising his followers a utopian land, but in reality he was just making new and loyal customers for his drug. But Kane was largely a ruthless psychopath who had no qualms about violence. In one scene, he shoots one of his own workers in cold blood. Later, when he realizes that one of his followers had sold him out, Kane dissects the man while forcing Angie and Hob to watch the entire sequence of events. Like any cult leader, Kane's mind is plagued with extreme notions of fanaticism, and he almost believes that his drug gives him a certain power that's divine and pure, and this madness got the better of him. He could have easily escaped with all the money, but instead he engaged RoboCop in a game of chicken and ultimately lost his life. But then again, he didn't truly die because he survived as RoboCop 2. Ed 209. Voiced by John Davison, the Ed 209 or Enforcement Droid Series 209 was a wonderful piece of work that Paul Verhoeven and animator Phil Tippett created for the 1987 film. It may not be as popular as other pieces of tech such as the P-5000 power loader from the Alien universe, but it was still a force to be reckoned with. Essentially a supporting villain, it was designed to serve as a peacekeeping machine, but the fully automated droid turned out to be anything but a servant of peace. In the first third of the original RoboCop film, Ed 209 was called in for a little demo, but it went haywire and killed an Omni Consumer Products employee. This turned out to be a huge embarrassment for Dick Jones, who saw Ed 209 as his path to immense wealth. Later, Dick Jones summoned the droid once again to take out RoboCop, and RoboCop found it very difficult to save himself from the droid's high-end firepower. As far as its arsenal is concerned, the droid comes with a set of 3 autocannons that are calibrated to the precision of centimeters. 2 of these are located on its right side, while the last one is present on its left platform. Furthermore, it has a rocket launcher that can fire 3 rockets at a time and an auto shotgun. While the Ed 209 is immune to 7.62 and 9mm bullets, its autocannon fire ammunition is strong enough to even penetrate titanium chrome armor like that of RoboCop's. Additionally, the droid comes with combat programming that enables it to survive and succeed in close-range fights and use a range of melee attacks. The only drawbacks of Ed 209 are probably its slow processing of orders and information, and a highly faulty logic circuit, which makes it a threat to everyone present.
You can't. You're not programmed that way. If you go against the program, the entire system shuts down.
Raymond Sellars. Much like Dick Jones in the original RoboCop film, Raymond Sellars is the man in the 2014 remake who plays the active part in the creation of RoboCop, the cyborg law enforcer. In the film, he serves as the corrupt CEO of Omnicorp. Raymond is largely a merciless and cruel corporate man who cares about nothing other than his personal gain and glory. Essentially, he's the arch enemy of Alex Murphy in the film, and it was Sellars' doing that Alex Murphy nearly got killed in the first place. If that hadn't happened, happened, Murphy would never have taken the role of RoboCop. Having said that, Raymond doesn't hold any personal hatred or malice against Alex Murphy. However, after Raymond supervises Murphy's transformation into the crime-fighting cyborg, Raymond starts seeing Murphy as more of a product than a human being. Much like Dick Jones, Raymond Sellars also gets shot by RoboCop after Sellars makes that one threat to Murphy that he shouldn't have. Sellars was a sophisticated and highly intelligent man who had a deep understanding of technology and business management. He had vast wealth and resources at his disposal, which he often used to maintain control over Omnicorp. He often used his leadership skills and tactics to get the better of people. As mentioned earlier, Sellars wasn't an evil man from the get-go, but once he started experimenting on Murphy to make him more and more efficient, he started losing his morality and honor, eventually becoming a villain. Played by the legendary Michael Keaton, the character of Sellars became more sinister because of Keaton's acting skills, especially his dialogue delivery.
Story.
We were able to save the left arm.
What? I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. Now lose the arm, okay?
Bob Morton. Bob Morton was the guy who actually supervised the RoboCop program in the first movie. His character was supposed to be dark and extremely villainous, but after Miguel Ferrer was cast, director Paul Verhoeven toned down the evilness of Morton's character because he thought that the audience would like him. Nevertheless, there wasn't much to like about Mr. Morton because he was the one who placed the prime candidates or subjects for the RoboCop project in high-risk zones, ensuring that they die so that he'd be able to use their remains to finally build a cyborg cop. His plan eventually succeeded, and Alex Murphy's death ensured the beginning of Morton's next move. Bob often displayed a seriously sadistic and apathetic side. For instance, he displayed frustration when his surgical team saved Murphy's left arm, claiming that human qualities were not a concern for him. Later, he would personally test RoboCop's several aspects, such as his titanium chrome arm, marksmanship, recording functions, etc. After months of work on his brainchild, RoboCop was finally deemed fit to be put on the field, but his success became his enemy. As Bob was promoted to the position of vice president, Dick Jones felt threatened by him and hired Boddicker to kill Bob. In the end, Boddicker does kill Bob using a grenade which explodes a few inches away from him. Essentially, Bob Morton was an arrogant and amoral guy, yet his intelligence and inventive ideas gave him success in the mega corporation. It was particularly delightful to see him die on screen, but then again you couldn't help but wish for a simpler death for Bob Morton.
Huh? What were you thinking? This isn't a drill. You're a robot. I'm a red asset.
Rick Mattox. Rick Mattox was a great military tactician and drone operator who served overseas with droids, but he was far from an honorable man because he didn't feel a shred of remorse or sympathy when it came to killing people, irrespective of them being innocent or guilty. He believes that making a biomechanical cyborg was like going back in time and technology, because machines were the future and the most efficient at killing. When Detective Alex Murphy takes his final tests, Rick raises the difficulty to unimaginable levels, pitting Murphy against 54 of his droids. Later, Raymond Sellars calls in Mattox to keep an eye on the cyborg and even asks him to shut RoboCop down if it ever came to that. However, Mattox is taken down by Murphy's partner, Jack Lewis. Mattox was little more than a psychopath who enjoyed killing and was better with machines than humans. This was probably the reason why he could remain calm under extreme pressure and tight situations. Be that as it may, Mattox was a skilled fighter and excellent at killing people in combat. His loyalties lay with the men who were paying him, and he did whatever was in his power to ensure his company's interest. But then again, he died a terrorist who dealt in weapons, undertook illegal operations, and conspired to kill a hero.
I'm very disappointed.
I'm sure it's only a glitch. A temporary setback.
You call this a glitch?
The Old Man. Known only as the Old Man, he wanted to transform the city of Detroit into a shining, modern, corpocratic new city called Delta City. However, before he could build such a city, he had to ensure that crime was eliminated and order was restored. The Detroit Police Department was turning out to be less than efficient in bringing this order, so the Old Man asked his junior, Dick Jones, to come up with a solution. Dick came to the Old Man with Ed 209, a powerful but dumb droid which didn't properly process orders and information. Naturally, the idea of using Ed 209 on the field was scrapped when Bob Morton came up with the RoboCop program, with Alex Murphy transformed into a cyborg. Later, the old man fired Dick Jones for the murder of Morton and had Dick killed by RoboCop. However, a year later, the old man realized that RoboCop had become increasingly humane and was questioning orders. So the old man needed a cyborg that was more compliant and asked fewer questions. He ordered psychologist Dr. Juliet Fax to come up with another model of RoboCop that would be stronger and more obedient. And so she came up with RoboCane, which was formed by using the brain of the dead leader of the Nuke cult. However, much like Kane, RoboCane was addicted to Nuke. At a media presentation, RoboCane saw a canister of red Nuke and became hostile, which led to a fierce battle between him and RoboCop, resulting in several casualties. In the end, the old man decided to put the blame on Dr. Fax, and he once again evaded responsibility for the bloodshed that was caused by an unstable robot that his corporation had created. Hob was merely a preteen, a rather small boy with a cherubic face, but he was nothing like he looked. He had a chilling personality and the demeanor of a veteran criminal. Naturally, he held near absolute authority over Kane's gang and was respected by criminals much older and stronger than him. Hob's cold-blooded, ruthless, and cruelly unsettling character ensured that none exploited his weakness, and when he attacked, he did so with an intention to kill. When Kane abducts RoboCop, Hob displays his cold side as he gets excited about dismembering RoboCop, going so far as to be curious as to whether RoboCop had a brain or not. While most of Kane's gang are always high on Nuke, Hob doesn't touch this stuff and remains a formal, level-headed and pragmatic superior to his elder subordinates. And while the others practically worship Kane, Hob sees what he really is, a cult leader high on Nuke and desperate for money. When Kane is taken away, Hob takes over Kane's empire and strives to get his business legalized. He goes to the mayor with an offer to pay the city's debts to OCP, but a debt-free Detroit would mean that the old man wouldn't be able to take over the city. So he sends RoboCane to stop the deal from taking place. RoboCane fatally injures Hob and the child later dies in RoboCop's company. It was probably in his final moments that the child in Hob came out for the first time. He was scared and helpless and probably wished that he had a better childhood. Did you know that the actor who played Hob, Gabriel Damon, later gave up his acting career in favor of becoming a real estate agent? Bone Machine. Much like Alex Murphy, Bone Machine, or Albert Bixler, used to be a cop who served in the same precinct as Alex and Cable. But while serving at the Metro South precinct, he was offered a job by Omni Consumer Products in their Security Concepts wing. As part of the organization, he was included in a group of people called the Trust, whose primary function was overthrowing the current government. Later, after receiving machinery and weapons from Sarah Cable, he turns into Bone Machine. RoboCop finds out Bone Machine's allegiance and identity after enhancing a video clip in which he could see the OCP logo. In the climactic battle with Bone Machine, he kills John Cable, something that infuriates RoboCop. RoboCop shoots Bone Machine's face mask, which leaves the villain disoriented. RoboCop pins him down, only to realize that he was once a cop named Albert Bixler, but that doesn't stop RoboCop from stabbing Bone Machine until he dies. As far as his weapons go, the villain had bulletproof armor and a laser helmet. Furthermore, he had quadra guns, which were basically guns with dual cylinders that were mounted with highly dangerous cannons. These could fire several things, including tear gas canisters and machine gun bullets. To make things worse, they could even double as rocket launchers, but then again, none of it could save Bone Machine from RoboCop's wrath. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.